All right, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. My name is Yadon Yasharal. I'm with my brother Kased Yasharal. Shabbat Shalom, Mark. How you doing?
Hey, Shabbat Shalom. As always, I'm thankful for another Shabbat.
Praise Yah, praise Yah. Welcome to Israelite Gathering. We save your word of Yah. Welcome to another one of our weekly Bible studies. And the topic today is the kingdom proving ground, the kingdom proving ground. Before we inherit anything of real importance, we have to understand that there's going to be a proving process. We're not just going to be handed over the keys to the kingdom without a proving process. And this is something that our nation has been going through for generations, generation after generation, all by Yah's prophecy, bringing us to where we're at now. So before we get into class, we're going to do a little bit of, current affairs like we normally do, what's going on. First and foremost, if you have not already, visit our website at Israelitesgathering.com. We also have our application that you can download free for your cell phone, whether it's Apple or Android. It's called Israelites Gathering. You'll get access to all our classes, all our teaching tools, books, Bibles, articles, things of that nature will be available there. So check that out. Thank you so much to everybody who's participated and joined. And there's also a social aspect on there where you can connect with other Hebrews, see other Israelites in your area, and can fellowship outside of our classes. So the first thing I want to go over today is a lot of stuff going on in the sky. Actually, tomorrow, late tomorrow, actually Monday, early Monday, there's going to be a meteor shower. And they're saying that this is basically the Eta Aquanid meteor shower, which is being affected and sparked by debris from Halley's Comet. I don't know if everybody remember Halley's Comet, if you're even around. The people that were around in the 80s were able to, observe the Halley's Comet. And it's supposed to come like every 85 years or something like that. But supposedly there's supposed to be a meteor shower Monday night. The only reason I'm bringing that up is because there's just a lot of stuff going in the sky right now. So it should be interesting to check out. We just had the triple conjunction a week or so ago. So there's a lot of, activity going on in the skies. And the next thing I want to talk about is interesting enough, we were just talking offline. Brother Cassette was mentioning just seeing some very unusual chemtrails in the Netherlands, which is a little bit different than what he normally saw in the US. So it's at a point now where, these chemtrails and weather modification and all this stuff is no longer a conspiracy. It's so much that Florida has literally passed a bill to ban weather modification. So literally, Republican State Senator Ileana Garcia, the bill's original sponsor, and the state representative Kevin Steele introduced to the House this bill to literally stop weather modification. Talking about since the 90s, activists have promoted discredited theories that the white lines of condensed water vapor that follow jet aircraft are chemical toxins used to help the government control people and or the weather. So a lot of this stuff that they were calling conspiracy theories, it's affecting people to the point where now you have enough people complaining where, the Republicans and the senators and House and Democrats, so-called, are actually trying to make a bill to stop this. So that's interesting that they're actually acknowledging this weather modification. They've already done shows, talking about, how they, NASA will create clouds to, they'll expose a lot of different things, even in Dubai, how they were using drones to zap these synthetic clouds to create rain, which actually flooded Dubai for one of the first times in history. So all these things that they're accusing us of conspiracy, you see with time, it's coming out. All right. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is something that we have to take very serious, not to get into the politics over these tariffs, but to look at what's happening. So as of last Sunday, we've been telling everybody that this has been coming. China has stopped shipping to the United States. So the barges aren't coming out. The supplies aren't coming out. They're saying about 2 or 3 days ago, the last ships came in, the last cargo ships carrying Chinese goods without these crippling tariffs. And they're saying, 145% tax on items coming in from China. So the greed of America, the greed of business is saying, yeah, we might be putting the prices up 300 to 400%, but hey, we can't give up 145% of our profit, additional profit that would have went to them. So of course they're saying, well, we're going to step out of business. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. Now you could just purchase from the United States. You could just purchase from, your fellow business owners here, but then you might not get those extra high profits, so they can get those big bonuses. So what do you think they're going to do? Take the loss? They're going to put the loss on us. So that means these prices are going to go up. Things are going to get scarce because a lot of businesses are going to start to shut down. And this is going to happen rather quickly if something doesn't change. Now, we don't know what's going to happen, but we, the children of Israel, we know what's going to happen. Ultimately, we just don't know when. So we have to start preparing eternally. So make sure that you're buying and storing up goods. And I'm talking about basic goods like dry goods, like rice, flour, things that you can store, that won't spoil, non-perishables, canned goods, or so forth and so on. Make sure you have water, things of that nature, and most importantly, having gardens or anything, or water filtration systems, because we don't know how bad and how quick this is going to happen. But the goods coming into this country and the greed of these corporations can cause us a famine, a severe situation. So this shouldn't catch us off guard. Start shopping with your local farmers, create those relationships, because those are the people that are going to be your lifeblood should this thing get really bad. And now add a war on top of this, or add a natural disaster, it's just a recipe for a very, very bad situation. Not to mention all these new illnesses that are popping up on the scene. So with that being said, just prepare yourselves. Don't wait till the last minute. Just, I'm not saying spend your life savings, but just take some time in your budget to put some stuff aside to keep yourself safe. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into the class. Again, the title of the Shabbat study today is The Kingdom Proving Ground. So let's go ahead and open up in James, Jacob, chapter 1, and we're just going to read 12 through 18. And Shabbat Shalom to my brother Yafi Yehuda. Good to see you, family. Shabbat Shalom, sis Sherry Randolph. Good to see you. Shabbat Shalom, as always, to my sis Ariel Smith. Good to see y'all, family. And Shabbat Shalom to the Hicks family, sis Stephanie and brother Aaron. Good to see y'all as well. All right, so we're going to James. Pull up the scripts. Bear with me 1 second. All right, so we're at James chapter 1, and we're going to read verses 12 through 18.
James, Jacob, chapter 1, and verse 12. Blessed is the man that endures temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which Yahweh has promised to them that love him.
All right, so blessed is the man, or blessed is the individual that endures temptation. For when he is tried, he's going to receive the crown of life. So you're not going to receive this crown of life. You're not going to receive your royalty without enduring this temptation. All right, verse 13.
Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of Elohim. For Elohim cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempts he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then, when lust has conceived, it brings forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, brings forth death.
All right, so that's what sin does to our body. Transgression ultimately destroys our temple because it makes it not holy. And we were created to be a holy temple. And that's what brings forth death. But this comes from the temptation of our own lust. The Most High not putting things in front of us to tempt us to kill ourselves or anything like that. But what he will is not remove things from in front of us and allow us to be proved so that we can learn what manner of vessel we are, a vessel of honor or a vessel of dishonor, whether or not we are servants of the Most High or servants of self. So he will allow that for our own spiritual development. We got a comment, Brother Dre Day said, did you see that executive order Trump signed? He wants to militarize the police in the cities. That's martial law, basically. Absolutely. That's what they created the whole executive order, period. That's for martial law. That's so that the president has supreme authority to do whatever with no consequence. Because if the president decides to put an executive order to put martial law or install anything that is illegal or anti-constitutional, all they can do is reverse it. There's no punishment. There's no judgment in place written for something that was never even created in the Constitution to begin with. So yeah, that's crazy. We definitely have to pay attention to what's going on. All right, Tom Sheep.
James chapter 1 and verse 16. Do not err, my beloved brethren. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above and comes down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. Of his own will begat he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures.
All right. So in order to even be able to fight this temptation, you got to know when you're being tempted, because this society teaches that if it feels good, it's good for you. It just feels right. Well, is it right? This is unlawful. But if you're not taught right from wrong, you're going to do what feels good and you can feel yourself into death. So this word of truth, which is Yah's word, his commandments, is what gives us that light to make the right decision so that we know when we're being tempted and we know what's the right decision to make. And in utilizing that, an ancient way of doing things by an ancient group of people, the Israelites, you're a new creature. That's something different. The world don't operate by that. The world operates to its own power, its own selfishness, its own rules, their own paganalities and pagan gods. But anybody who decides to use the God of the slaves, the Elohim of the slaves, and use their righteousness for their own, that's what makes you a new creature. All right. And with Yasharal being the first fruits of those creatures. So let's move on. Let's go to Exodus chapter 16. And we're going to see specifically how the Most High chooses to prove the children of Israel. The first format he's using. So we're at Shemot, Exodus chapter 16. And we're going to start that at verse 1.
Exodus chapter 16 and verse 1. And they took their journey from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Yasharal came unto the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after their departing out of the land of Mizraim. And the whole congregation of the children of Yasharal murmured against Moshe and Aaron in the wilderness. And the children of Yasharal said unto them, Would to Elohim we had died by the hand of Yahweh in the land of Mizraim, when we sat by the flesh pots, and when we did eat bread to the full, for you have brought us forth into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger.
All right. So you see right there, the first thing we being tested with really is our stomachs, is our appetite, our lust, our desire to please the flesh. Now, we all got to eat. That's just a fact of life. So we're not saying that that's something that you're not going to have to deal with, but you're not going to starve right away. Sometimes you have to go without food when you're fasting or you're sick, things of that nature. Your body naturally shuts down. And Shabbat Shalom, Brother Marshall. Good to see you, family. All right. So we're being tested with the stomach. We're being tested with our desire to eat something. So it's no coincidence that when there's about to be a change of power or there's judgment, that judgment comes in the form of a famine or some kind of a sickness that will cause, when you're sick, you don't eat. The appetite. Tamshi?
Exodus chapter 16 and verse 4. Then said Yahweh unto Moshe, Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them whether they will walk in my law or no.
All right. So he's determining, we haven't got all the, commandments and everything. He's trying to say, look, I'm going to use something very simple to prove you all. So you can see for yourself whether you're going to walk in the law or not. Y'all already know we not going to walk in the law. That's why he got these captivities already prophesied. But he said, this is how we're going to prove you. Are you going to be obedient and follow my instructions when you're hungry, when your stomach is growling, when your kid's complaining, when your flesh is not at its perfection, you're at your weakened state? Are you going to follow my instructions for the very thing that is causing you to be in that weakened state? This is the same test that he's given us now. He gives us that same test. What are we going to do? Because we have the right. We're not in full captivity anymore. We can go out and buy and eat whatever we want. Are we going to follow his laws? Are we going to not eat when he says don't eat? We're going to go out and purchase food on the Shabbat because we ran out? Or could you just fast for the rest of that day? These are the little things that are going to prove whether you're going to walk in the law or not. Because if you can't maintain your stomach, your second brain, you can't maintain that, you're not going to maintain these other laws.
Verse 5. And it shall come to pass that on the 6th day they shall prepare that which they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily.
So we forget that part. Yeah, it's a test. Yeah, this is Yah's proving us, but Yah not putting us. Remember, he's not going to tempt us. He's proving us. He's not going to remove everything and tempt you to go eat a pig because you're starving. No, he's proving you. He's already giving you the solution. He's telling you, I'm going to feed you. I'm going to rain bread from heaven. I'm going to provide for you before you even know you need something. And I'm going to take care of you. And then furthermore, once you know, okay, I'm going to provide for you, then I'm going to give you twice as much on the 6th day to cover you for the 7th day. But you got to trust in him. You got to have faith that Yah going to keep his word. But how short is our memory? We forget we the ones that are the truce breakers, the covenant breakers, not him.
Verse 6. And Moshe and Aaron said unto all the children of Yasharal, At even, then you shall know that Yahweh has brought you out of the land of Mizraim.
And how are you going to know? You're going to know because Yah's word is going to be true. He going to tell you things in advance. That's how you know this word that we're preaching and teaching is true. Because all these things was foretold in advance. And the things that we're talking about today that's going to happen tomorrow, it's the only reason we're able to talk about it because it's written. Not because we the prophets of the old days, y'all not talking to us directly like that. But he's talking to us. Tamshi?
Verse 7. And in the morning, then you shall see the glory of Yahweh, for that he hears your murmurings against Yahweh. And what are we that you murmur against us? And Moshe said, This shall be when Yahweh shall give you in the evening flesh to eat, and in the morning bread to the full, for that Yahweh hears your murmurings which you murmur against him. And what are we? Your murmurings are not against us, but against Yahweh.
All right. So that, again, the Most High is feeding us. He's telling us point blank, I'm going to give you bread from heaven and I'm going to give you flesh. So the Most High not going to give us flesh to eat and tell us what this is the type of flesh you can eat and not eat, but then it's a sin to eat flesh. That's all them weird doctrines that they got in the earth. It don't match up with scripture. Tamshi?
Verse 9. And Moshe spake unto Aaron, Say unto all the congregation of the children of Yasharal, Come near before Yahweh, for he has heard your murmurings.
Your complaints. Y'all hear all your complaints. You could be fake as ever out here smiling in front of everybody like, I love the Lord. I love him and be all that way. But then behind closed doors, you complaining. You might be trying to keep commandments, but you complaining about keeping commandments. You complaining about doing the right thing. But you want to save face. But y'all hear all those murmurings. That's why he says we're going to be responsible for every idle word that comes out of our mouth. And that's specifically for you, men. You the head of your household. Your word is the final say so. So whose murmurings you think he listening to?
Verse 10. And it came to pass, as Aaron spake unto the whole congregation of the children of Yasharal, that they looked toward the wilderness, and behold, the glory of Yahweh appeared in the cloud. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, I have heard the murmurings of the children of Yasharal. Speak unto them, saying, At even you shall eat flesh, and in the morning you shall be filled with bread, and you shall know that I am Yahweh your Elohim. And it came to pass that at even the quails came up and covered the camp, and in the morning the dew lay round about the host.
All right, so we have proof of our existence and our history. To this day, you can go back to Saudi Arabia, close to Mount Jabal Allah is what they call it, which is the real Mount Sinai, where the quails fly from travel and migration from Egypt over to that portion of the mountain, and they get tired and they literally fall right there. So you can see the proof of our stories that the pattern still exists and the proof is still there in the earth. And if you want
Verse
to see
4.
a documentary on that, we have that on our YouTube page, Israelites Gathering, the real Mount Sinai, which will show you these Gentiles that tracked all this and was able to show this whole Exodus story that we have been told, the physical evidence of it in the earth still to this day, and why Mount Sinai ain't in Egypt. It's in Saudi Arabia, like the Bible says. Tamshi?
Verse 14. And when the dew that lay up, and when the dew that lay was gone up, behold, upon the face of the wilderness there lay a small round thing, as small as the hoarfrost on the ground. And when the children of Yasharal saw it, they said one to another, It is manna, for they wist not what it was. And Moshe said unto them, This is the bread which Yahweh has given you to eat. This is the thing which Yahweh has commanded. Gather of it every morning according to his eating, every man according to his eating, an omer for every man, according to the number of your persons. Take you every man for them which are in his tents.
So this is how you control obesity. It says right there, every man gets an omer. So everybody got an equal share. Everybody wasn't somebody in the back starving because, this person had a little more money than the other person, or this person was a farmer, so they controlled. No, everybody got an equal amount. Every man took amount and had one for each one of their family members. All right, Tamshi.
Verse 17. And the children of Yasharal did so, and gathered, some more, some less. And when they did meet it with an omer, he that gathered much had nothing over, and he that gathered little had no lack. They gathered every man according to his eating. And Moshe said, let no man leave of it till the morning.
So you got to trust Yah. You know, when you are a head of a household and you're parents, you know, you looking at making sure your kids got food. So sometimes you even save a little of your food if things get rough so that your kids can eat later. So Yah is telling you now, just trust me. You're going to have what you need. Every man going to have what they need. Don't let it lay up to the morning, right? You have to have faith in what Yah is saying. These are the proving ground. This is the test, not that you can't find a way to refrigerate it or hide it or whatever. With technology, we can do those things. But at the end of the day, Yah's giving us instruction. This is for him to prove us.
Verse 20. Notwithstanding, they hearkened not unto Moshe, but some of them left of it until the morning, and it bred worms and stank, and Moshe was wroth with them. And they gathered it every morning, every man according to his eating, and when the sun waxed hot, it melted. And it came to pass that on the 6th day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for one man. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moshe. And he said unto them, this is that which Yahweh has said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Shabbat unto Yahweh. Bake that which you will bake today, and see that you will seethe, and that which remains over, lay up for you to be kept until the morning. And they laid it up till the morning, as Moshe bade, and it did not stink, neither was there any worm therein.
All right, so Yah is in control of whether something is going to last or whether it's going to be exhausted. So he gave them instruction. All other days of the week, it couldn't make it to the next day. It just destroyed it, melted, waxed bad, worms, stank, all that stuff would happen. But then on the 6th day, for some reason, he allowed it to extend. So Yah can make it last or don't last. So really, what's the instruction you're supposed to be following? What you think is going to work or what Yah specifically instructed you? And if you do beat the system and you are able to go against Yah, who do you think rewarded you? And do you think that's going to work in your benefit? We have to be able to consider these things once our stomachs start growling. And I keep saying this because we keep talking of this famine that's coming. It's also going to be a famine of the word. So you're going to have to be able to go without.
Exodus chapter 16 and verse 25. And Moshe said, eat that today, for today is a Shabbat unto Yahweh. Today shall you not find it in the field. 6 days you shall gather it, but on the 7th day, which is the Shabbat, in it there shall be none. And it came to pass that there went out some of the people on the 7th day for to gather, and they found none.
And they found nothing. How just nothing just happened to be there on the 7th day? Yah was feeding them. Remember, Yah was feeding them with the bread from heaven. Yah was feeding them with the flesh. They went out on the 7th day and they found nothing. Nothing of Yah. So what happens when you do go out on the 7th day and you find something? Where do you think that came from? Who gave you that? We have to consider that. Because Yah has given us a lot more freedom now in this end of this captivity. Enough freedom for you to show yourself who you are, whether you're going to serve Yah or you're going to serve your flesh, your stomach, or your teacher, or your master, or your boss, or your spouse. Who are you going to serve?
Verse 28. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, how long refuse you to keep my commandments and my laws? See, for that Yahweh has given you the Shabbat. Therefore he gives you on the sixth day the bread of 2 days. Abide you every man in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the seventh day.
So Yah gave us enough on the sixth day. We have to trust that in 6 days, he gave us enough for 7 days. That's the miracle. That's a miracle because statistically, it don't work that way. You see, everything's spoiled on the other days. But that's the miracle that we have to trust so that we are depending on Yah to feed us, not depending on ourselves. But they still had to go out and collect them other days, right? It didn't mean they could just sit around all day and just wait for stuff to appear. They had to work. They had to go get it. But they rested and they respected the day that Yah said respect. All right, let's stop right there. Let's move on. Let's go to Deuteronomy, Devarim, chapter 8. So Yah provides for us. And he told us that he was going to provide for us when we come in the land. He going to take care of us. He said, he fed us with manna all the way till we got, if we read the rest of Exodus 16, he fed us with the manna and with the quails and everything. We ate that all the way up until we got into the land. Then when we got into the land, we were able to eat of the land of vineyards we didn't plant, of animals we didn't raise, all those things. We just inherited that. And that's one of the main reasons why we have to tithe, why we have to give back and first fruits unto the Most High, because we inherited a land with goods and a home that we did not build. Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 8. Let's start this at verse 1.
Verse 1. All the commandments which I command you this day shall you observe to do, that you may live and multiply, and go in and possess the land which Yahweh sware unto your fathers.
All right, now we know that's talking about the physical land, but let's also talk about the spirit of Yasharal that dwells in your land, which is you. You inherited this body. Yah put that spirit in there. So we got to consider that. We want that spirit to dwell in this land. Then we have to keep those commandments and observe that Yah gave us, or else that spirit finna leave.
Verse 2. And you shall remember all the way which Yahweh your Elohim led you these 40 years in the wilderness to humble you and to prove you, to know what was in your heart, whether you would keep his commandments or no.
So that's what this whole wilderness journey is about. So when we're talking about returning unto the wilderness, what you think it's for? For fun? It's to humble us and to prove us so that we know what's in our mind, what kind of minds we have. When it's all great, yeah, we Shabbat Shalom when it's all good, but when life is tough, you still Shabbat Shalom? You still showing up? That's what he wants to show us. And you rather find that at now in the sandbox, in the proving ground, rather than in the day of Yah, with your life on the line. So now we're supposed to be observing our little weaknesses. You know what? When I get hungry, you know what? When I get tired, you know what? When I get angry, you know what? When I get excited or lustful, hey, I tend to fall to this. I tend to fall to that. I tend to be tricked by this. I tend to be. These are the times to find these things out now.
Verse 3. Sorry?
No, I was talking to my wife.
Oh, okay. Deuteronomy chapter 8 and verse 3. And he humbled you and suffered you to hunger and fed you with manna, which you knew not, neither did your fathers know, that he might make you to know that man does not live by bread only, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh does man live.
All right, so that's what Yahweh Shai quoted when the devil came at him and said, turn this rock into bread. He didn't argue with him. He fed him the exact script.
Your raiment waxed not old upon you, neither did your foot swell these 40 years. You shall also consider in your heart that as a man chastens his son, so Yahweh your Elohim chastens you.
All right, so there ain't no excuses. You know, your clothes, your same clothes, still good. Your feet didn't swell. Your Your Air Maxes lasted the whole time. Your sandals, we call them Jesus sandals. They lasted the whole 40 years in the wilderness. So Yah can preserve everything. You don't have no excuse. Just show up and consider his commandments and consider the struggles that you have in the issues that you have to deal with in life. Is Yah chastening you? We don't never like to accept chastening. We want to act like everything is a Job moment. No, you getting chastened. You getting judgment. That's to save you. Verse 6.
Therefore you shall keep the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, to walk in his ways and to fear him. For Yahweh your Elohim brings you into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains and depths that spring out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley and vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of oil, olive, and honey, a land wherein you shall eat bread without scarceness, you shall not lack anything in it, a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills you may dig brass.
All right. So again, he has everything that we need. Now that land sounds awfully a lot like the continent of Africa, which has all these different things. You know, and the continent of Africa stretched beyond that little line that they created to separate the so-called Middle East and Africa. They literally created the Zeus spelled backwards canal. You catch that? That's the Suez Canal, is literally Zeus spelled backwards to separate what they call the Middle East and Africa. Now, if that's the Middle East, what's the East or the West East? That doesn't make any sense. But this land he promises has everything that we need without scarceness. That sounds awfully a lot like that continent that Europe is trying so hard to continue to rape. Everything is there. So it's a whole different mentality of the people that are living in a land like that, where there's not scarceness. People ain't trying to rob and steal and hustle because there's no scarceness. That's what lies ahead of us and is promised to us if we can maintain our crowns.
Verse 10. When you have eaten and are full, then you shall bless Yahweh your Elohim for the good land which he has given you. Beware that you forget not Yahweh your Elohim in not keeping his commandments and his judgments and his statutes which I command you this day. Lest when you have eaten and are full, and have built goodly houses and dwell therein, and when your herds and your flocks multiply, and your silver and your gold is multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, then your heart be lifted up, and you forget Yahweh your Elohim, which brought you forth out of the land of Mizraim from the house of bondage.
All right. So when Yah continues to bless us and we rise up, because this happens in every captivity, we rise up until the end of this captivity when we become kings and queens again. But we forget what brought us there. We forget what our ancestors did. We forget, the chastening of Yah, because we feel like we just are righteous people. We are royal people. We are good people. That's why this stuff is going our way. We the most talented. We got it. We got it. And then we forget the Most High and we start thinking that we so righteous that we don't need to adhere to his commandments because we know right from wrong. No, you don't. You know what feels good. So don't forget that. So as we begin to transition out of this captivity, especially during the rough times that are ahead of us, let us not forget his captivities. His commandments. Let us not forget all these things that brought us into the good times. All right, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. I want to read a few things there. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 63. Devarim 28, we're going to read 63 through 68.
All right, verse 63. And it shall come to pass that as Yahweh rejoiced over you to do good and to multiply you, so Yahweh will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught, and you shall be plucked from off the land whither you go to possess it. And Yahweh shall scatter you among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there you shall serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, even wood and stone.
All right. So because we forgot the Most High, we were raised up. We got the land. We dwelled in a land of a lack of scarcity, and we forgot the Most High. So, like I said, this was more of a rhetorical question when he's talking about proving whether we're going to do this or do that. It's for us to see who we are. So when we look and say, man, how did we get? Look where we're at. Look how we getting done in the streets. How did we get to this place? We could consider it and say, because we forgot the laws of our Allahim. And this is why we're at, so that we would have a way to return. So he destroyed us, and this is what happened to us. Now we're scattered amongst all people from all the ends of the earth, all the way. Brother Cassette can testify, all the way to the Netherlands. You got Israelites. We scattered everywhere.
Verse 65. And among these nations shall you find no ease, neither shall the sole of your foot have rest, but Yahweh shall give you there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind.
All right. So these are things that we have faced every place that we've gone. Now, the 400-year captivity had a lot of these curses, generational curses that we have. But when you return back unto the law, you receive a little bit of leniency from some of these curses. So maybe we're not walking around with a trembling heart anymore. Maybe we don't have failing of eyes or sorrow of mind because we have hope. We have faith. We know the prophecies. We know the recourse. We know repentance. But at the end of the day, certain things ain't going to change. And I'm going to ask you, Brother Cassette, with your stay in the Netherlands, is it a place of ease for Israelites?
Oh, no, not at all. Not at
Not at
all.
all.
It's basically the same thing. I mean, I got stopped by the police, you know what I'm saying, over here, and I'm like the most unassuming, unthreatening one of the I don't consider myself a threat, but these people see me and they do, and it's crazy because there are Africans that live here, but they aren't, you can tell they're not descendants of the slave trade, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I see how these people kind of, they go along and people don't really pay attention to them. But for some reason, when it comes to me, it's like they can sense a different spirit on me. And, a lot of people react accordingly, you know what I'm saying? And, it's not pleasant. I can tell you that.
Right.
So, yeah,
Right.
there's definitely no ease, you know what I'm saying? Because that same kind of fear that the other nations have of us is still here. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because Yah's word does not lie. Until we are in our home with our own rulership, we're going to have no ease. How can we have ease, when we are not in the state that we're supposed to be in? It's called a dis-ease, right? A disease. When something is improper, when it's not where it's supposed to be. You got too many white blood cells over here. They ain't supposed to be here. That's a disease. That's a problem. So we are not where we are supposed to be. We're in captivity. We're in strangers' land. So we're not at ease. So that's something that only the commandments can fix for us, to give us some kind of peace. That's why Yahweh Shai said, I leave you peace, not the peace that the world gives, a different type of peace. All right, Tom Sheep.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 66. And your life shall hang in doubt before you, and you shall fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of your life. In the morning you shall say, would Allahim if it were even, and at even you shall say, would Allahim if it were morning, for the fear of your heart wherewith you shall fear, and for the sight of your eyes which you shall see.
And this is what most of us have experienced in our lifetime, no matter where we grew up or where we're from. At some point, it used to be, when you were a kid, you were like scared of the dark. You're like, man, as long as the light is out, I'm good. The monsters can't get me. But when it get dark, you're like, oh, them shadows look scary. But then we grow up and because of what we see with our own eyes, whether it's on TV or whether it's live and direct in front of you in your own neighborhood, and many of us in our own houses, we know it could happen in the daytime, it could happen at night, it could happen in the rain, it could happen in the shine, it could happen at school. The kids now, it's even worse. I used to be afraid once I left school, I might get shot. Now, kids afraid to go to school. They scared that they're going to get shot in school. So, I mean, it's just a whole different situation now where we are in doubt of our lives, where there's no time of day or no a situation that we feel we good. You can't go in Walmart and feel safe. Folks go in Walmart, it's like World War III, and people is armed to the T because there's so much craziness going on.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on a little bit of context with what you just brought out about fearing your life. During the incident where I got stopped by the police, the cops were looking for a black guy in the area that apparently had stabbed some people, right? And there aren't a lot of black people here in the first place. However, I remember coming out of the store with my wife, and I got grocery bags in my hand and everything. We walking back, and literally our apartments are right across the street. And the female cop, without approaching me at all, literally takes out her gun and is pointing it at me and saying,
Wow.
put your hands up, as if I'm guilty. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, to me, it's insane that they would, like, if they were looking for anyone else, if they were looking for a white person, they wouldn't have did that. That would have been just crazy to do. But
Right.
just because it's a black person, that's a black guy, he must be guilty. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
so that's the kind of treatment you have. And, thankfully I didn't make any wrong moves or anything, because these people have such a fear and such a wrong perception about us that they don't, they'll be quick to take our lives if we're not careful. You know what I'm saying? And so,
Right.
that's one thing that not just, I've dealt with, but I think every black man deals with to some extent.
Right. Right. And it's worse here in the US now. Brother Dre Day even talked about it earlier with that executive order that Trump signed, with militarizing the police. What he also did is he stopped a lot of the cases in the Department of Justice against police departments and municipalities that were being, accused of police brutality and violation of constitutional rights. He has now, made laws to kind of supersede that and taking things out of the way. So he's basically empowering the police, which, ultimately, who do there's two sides to every story. You want to look at it like this as well. With the military, the military works with the United Nations, and they can bring in troops from all over to police your cities. But who would you rather police? Military from who knows, another country, or from different parts of the state? Or would you rather police officers that are from your neighborhood, that grew up where you grew up, policing you in a situation in the worst case scenario? I much personally would rather deal with the local police than to deal with soldiers. So I get what he's trying to do, but at the end of the day, the power is going to a bunch of people with guns and you left without. The one good thing that the Republicans did do is allow you to have your weapons, because when they start militarizing and doing craziness or something, natural disaster, at least you have a means to protect yourself against all threats. So unfortunately, it's getting real bad here now, where when the police start messing with citizens, which is going to be likely our people, there's not going to be any federal help with that. And Shabbat Shalom, says Sharita. Good to see you. All right, read that last verse.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. And Yahweh shall bring you into Mizraim again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto you. You shall see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
All right, so There's the prophecy, bring you into Egypt, Mizraim, the house of bondage, again with ships. Hold on. We walked into Egypt the first time. So this is a different time we going into Egypt. And if we going by ships, how are we? Why would we need ships to go to Egypt if we in Africa or we in Asia? We wouldn't. So this is talking about this second captivity, this sixth and seventh captivity of ours, where we are coming to America. The new Mizraim, the new house of bondage, the dollar bill with the all-seeing eye of Horus and the pyramid, and the obelisks and all the Egyptian idolatry going on. So that happened to us. We came back here into this captivity by ships, and it says that the way that we came, we're not going to see it again. We left out many of us out of Ghana, the port of no return, or of no hope and no return. Basically, you ain't coming back. All this was prophesied, and it happened, and it brought us to where we're at. All right, so let's go to Jeremiah chapter 17, Jeremiah chapter 17. So captivity is nothing new to us. This is all part of our proving ground. They said, are you a homeborn slave? That's what the scripts say. This is nothing new to us. But what's about to be new is this type of captivity that we're about to, that we went into, that we're currently in. Well, we didn't just lose our property and lose our sovereignty. We lost our whole culture and our name. We don't even have a flag anymore. Every nation got a flag, got a standard that they can hang up for them. We don't have anything. We're color, black. And what's a black flag used for? Death. That's the best we have. Jeremiah chapter 17. Let's start this at verse 1.
The sin of Yahweh is written with a pen of iron and with the point of a diamond. It is graven upon the table of their heart and upon the horns of your altars.
So our transgression of the children of Yahweh, it's not easily to remove. Repentance ain't easy. That's why it's hard. We are hard-headed, sottish people. When we transgress, it's written on the horns of our altars. It's in our minds. It's in our makeup, and it's very hard to remove. So imagine generations and generations of this transgression being passed down.
Verse 2. Whilst their children remember their altars and their groves by the green trees upon the high hills.
And we want to talk about these altars and groves, them the Asherah poles. If you saw that movie Sinners with Michael B. Jordan, and he was going to the grave of I don't want to do a spoiler alert, but he was looking at a grave, and they had the little totem pole looking thing, looking like a penis coming out the ground. That's literally the Asherah pole. That's what that is. That's that African Ephah idolatry, basically Nimrod worship, because that's supposed to represent Nimrod's phallic, his literal member, because that's the only thing they could not find of him when he was chopped into pieces. And they say he resurrected in the form of a full-grown evergreen tree after so-called having a child with his own mother, which is some extreme wickedness, all the things that Yah say stay away. So they push that stuff in our face, all that spiritualism and the ancestors and this, that. Man, your ancestors are dead. It says you cannot praise him from the grave. So you think they talking to you? Anything a dead person want to do is praise Yah so they can live forever. They can't even praise Yah. So you think they coming back talking to you, telling you make a left at the light? Nah, it don't work that way. The nations can be fooled, but we shouldn't, because Yah told us the truth.
Verse 3. O my mountain in the field, I will give your substance and all your treasures to the spoil in your high places for sin throughout all your borders. And you, even yourself, shall discontinue from your heritage that I gave you, and I will cause you to serve your enemies in the land which you knew not. For you have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
And that's why, we as a people hate to be signified. You talking black, you acting black, or black is this or black is that. We don't even know who we are. Our heritage cut off. So if we from the South, we act a certain way. We from the North, we act a certain way. We poor, we act a certain way. We rich, we act a certain way. We have a little bit of everything, and a little bit of everything descended from us. But we are completely lost. Our heritage has been cut off. We don't have a land. We don't have a language. We don't even have a name. We got names that don't even make sense. We just make up names now because we don't know who we are. At least Malcolm X put an X after his name, say, I really don't know. We just make it up. So this is the difference with this seventh captivity, this final captivity. We were cut off. At least the sixth captivity, and during the first Roman excavation and all that type of stuff, we knew we was the children of Israel, or at least called ourselves Yayas or had little nicknames for who we are. But this seventh one, the last captivity of the children of Israel, majority of us don't even know who we are. They don't even know the difference between Israel and Yasharal or Yasharala. They don't know that. Hebrew and Abari. They don't know the difference.
Verse 5. Thus says Yahweh, cursed be the man that trusts in man and makes flesh his arm, and whose heart departs from Yahweh. For he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good comes, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, in a salt land and not inhabited. Blessed is the man that trusts in Yahweh, and whose hope Yah is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, and that spreads out her roots by the river, and shall not see when the heat comes, but her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?
All right, so that's part of the proving ground. Part of the proving ground is to show you your mind, show you what your heart is really about. Your heart really about just making sure it keep beating. That's all it is. Your mind is really about how to preserve your way of life. That's how it really is, and it will lie to you. It will make you believe whatever it needs to make you believe so it can keep going. So we have to understand that's the heart of a beast. That's how a beast operates. Once we understand that, now we can say whether or not I'm content with that or not. I'm content just being a beast, or do I want to be a king and queen, a royal priesthood? What do I want to be? Do I want to be like everybody else, or do I want to be his set apart, his jewels? Verse 10.
I, Yahweh, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. As the partridge sits on eggs and hatches them not, so he that gets riches and not by right shall lead them in the midst of his days, and at his end shall be a fool. A glorious high throne from the beginning is the place of our sanctuary.
So that's our sanctuary. That's his throne. That's why his footstool is here on this earth. And where do you put your feet? You put your feet on the stool. You rest in your feet on the stool. Yah's feet is here on this earth. We, the feet, we his people. He's resting his feet on us so that we can walk according to his walk, his ways. That's what all this is about, all this proving ground, so he can walk amongst us. His throne in heaven, he's trying to make it here with us. But he's not going to do that with a people that don't want to obey him. They're going to be destroyed. And he does it the same way. He gave you Egypt as an example. And he's going to start it the same way. He's going to start with your stomach.
Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 13. O Yahweh, the hope of Yasharal, all that forsake you shall be ashamed, and they that depart from me shall be written in the earth, because they have forsaken Yahweh, the fountain of living waters.
All right. All that they forsake Yah is going to be ashamed. All them people that don't care, all Yah's word really don't matter. And, life, is life. You just got to do this and do that. And, The Secret and all these little occult books. And you're going to eat grass and you're going to live forever. All that foolishness ain't going to last. You forsake Yah by turning away from his word. Again, earth is his footstool. This is where he walks amongst us. If we not walking his walk, you will be rooted out. All right, let's stop right there. Let's move on. Let's go to Yeshaya, Isaiah chapter 14. I only want to read the first two verses. Isaiah, Yeshaya chapter 14.
Verse 1. For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Yasharal, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
All right, so what's this talk about, only Israel going to be saved and all the other nations going to die? And that's foolishness. You're not going to find that in the Old Testament or the New Testament. That's a racist doctrine. And the people that push that doctrine or push anything that is not of this book, they have to repent or they going to be rooted out of the kingdom, whether they Israel or not. That's just the way it goes. But he says he's going to have mercy on Jacob. So the children of Israel, whether they know they're Israel or not, Yah going to give them a chance. And that's what this wilderness journey is for. But that is a very, very, you don't want to learn in combat how to be in combat. You want a proving ground first where you can be proven and learn how to use your weaponry, how to resist, how to deal with what's coming your way. So Yah is going to have this mercy on us. And I'm trying to get the mercy now. But we're going to have mercy also in the wilderness where it's going to be a get down or lay down situation. Verse 2.
And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Yasharal shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
All right. So we going to have help getting back into the land. You ain't going to have to do everything on your own. This is prophecy. We as a people, we have some people never even left their city ever in their whole entire life. How are you going to get them people to get up and just walk over and hop a ship or whatever and get to the land? They're going to need help. So the nations, once they realize who we are and the fear of Yah comes on them, they're going to help. And when they come into the land, they are going to serve us just like we serve them right now. Every business we work for right now, even if you own a business, you're getting income from something else that's not your people. That's going to change. The system is going to be based on us, and all the money and all the way to live is going to flow through the children of Yasharal. And we will have rule over all those nations that were our oppressors. It wasn't just America. Every place, Brother Cassette being oppressed right now as we speak. And he over there in the Netherlands, which was one of the huge offenders of the slave trade. But you see this judgment going around. You saw what just happened to Portugal, Spain, right? The ships of Tarshish, the ones that brought us over here. Power, the ones that got hit horribly with the 19 when it came out in 2020, they got hit horrible. That judgment going to them places first. All right. Let's move on. Let's go to Yeshaya chapter 40. Isaiah chapter 40. Isaiah, Yeshayah chapter 40, and we'll start that at verse 1. And I know, we go through enough. I mean, we get on the internet, there's enough bad news. We turn on the TV, there's enough bad news. In our personal lives, we have enough bad news. There's a lot going on. With that being said, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the class also, we want to keep Brother Cassette and his family and Sis Evie and their family lifted up for prayers, for one of your youngins, the niece, that the Yah's mercy and the covering of Brother Cassette will be sufficient, to help the young baby, so under 3 years old, 2-year old. So prayer is very powerful. Let's keep them lifted up in prayer. But we get a lot of bad news, but at the end of the day, we have if we going into a war, if we going into hard times, we going into Jacob's trouble, we have to have our mind prepared for that. We can't be afraid of that conflict. So we got to understand that it's a conflict, but on the other side, we got to understand that we've already got the victory. So you got to present both sides. So here's the other side.
Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 1. Comfort you, my people, says your Elohim. Speak you comfortably to Jerusalem and cry unto her that her warfare is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned, for she has received of Yahweh's hand double for all her sins. The voice of him that cries in the wilderness, prepare you the way of Yahweh, make straight in the desert a highway for our Elohim. Every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain. And the glory of Yah shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together, for the mouth of Yahweh has spoken it.
All right, so there's the prophecy of Mashiach's return. It's also the prophecy of his first entrance. So Yah is made a way for us. And because we are of Mashiach's church, we are now the ones preparing a way for his return, which is preparing a way for Yah to dwell with us.
Verse 6. The voice said, cry. And he said, what shall I cry? All flesh is grass, and all the goodliness thereof is as the flower of the field. The grass withers and the flower fades, because the spirit of Yahweh blows upon it. Surely the people is grass. The grass withers and the flower fades, but the word of our Elohim shall stand forever.
So it ain't a situation of, oh, that's old biblical stuff. That's Bible times. That ain't got nothing to do with us. It got everything to do with us right now. That's the one thing that will stop you from being in the confusion. His word stands forever.
Verse 9. O Zion that brings good tidings, get you up into the high mountain. O Jerusalem that bringeth good tidings, lift up your voice with strength. Lift it up, be not afraid. Say unto the cities of Yahweh, behold your Elohim. Behold, Yahweh Elohim will come with strong hand, and his arm shall rule for him. Behold, his reward is with him, and his work before him. He shall feed his flock like a shepherd. He shall gather the lambs with his arm, and carry them in his bosom, and shall gently lead those that are with the young.
Praise Yah. So remember that in the time of the calamity, in the time of Jacob's trouble, it's going to look bad. We're not going to know when our next meal is going to come. We're not going to know when that water is going to be available. He going to show us water hidden in the rocks. He going to feed us. He going to lead us. He going to provide the leadership that we need, shepherds for us in the time of our need. So we shouldn't have to fear and depend on flesh, because the flesh is going to turn you into doing against what Yah's telling you to do, because that's the proving. Who you going to listen to?
Verse 12. Who has measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, and meted out heaven with the span, and comprehended the dust of the earth in a measure, and weighed the mountain in scales, and the hills in a balance? Who has directed the spirit of Yahweh, or being his counselor has taught him? With whom took he counsel, and who instructed him, and taught him in the path of judgment, and taught him knowledge, and showed to him the way of understanding? Behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket, and are counted as the small dust of the balance. Behold, he takes up the isles as a very little thing.
All right, so we have to consider, you got all these weird doctrines trying to tell us that our God is, some pagan God or some angel that, the Anunnakis empowered or this, that, all these weird, strange, no. Yah gave you beginning to the end. He did not need to counsel with anybody. He is the supreme being, and be blessed that he chose you of all people. So this confusion should not take us off our mark.
Verse 16. And Lebanon is not sufficient to burn, nor the beasts thereof sufficient for a burnt offering. All nations before him are as nothing, and they are counted to him less than nothing and vanity. To whom then will you liken Elohim, or what likeness will you compare unto him? The workman melts a graven image, and the goldsmith spreads it over with gold, and casts silver chains. He that is so impoverished that he has no oblation chooses a tree that will not rot. He seeks unto him a cunning workman to prepare a graven image that shall not be moved. Have you not known? Have you not heard? Has it not been told you from the beginning? Have you not understood the foundations of the earth?
Again, we as a people we've been taught these things. But then now this pagan worship is thrown right back in our face, where we keeping Astaroth, Easter, we keeping Christmas. We to even a point, we watching a movie, they got the little Asherah pole in the ground, talking about this where his child was buried. Wickedness. These are the things that we're following, but we shouldn't be doing this, because we've been told from the beginning that it's foolishness. None of those things. And you seen at the end of the movie, the brother figured it out. Let me stop. Spoiler alert. Verse 22.
Yeah, I ain't seen it yet. It is he that sits upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretch out the heavens as a curtain, and spread them out as a tent to dwell in.
All right. So how does a tent set up? Is a tent a ball? A curtain that stretches out? Is it like a plastic bag? No, it's not. The circle of the earth. Hebrews, you should not be confused with this fake NASA, Katy Perry flying and Gail Devers flying into all that crap. You shouldn't be fooled by that. We were given the circle of the earth, a circle, not a ball. Verse 23.
That brings the princes to nothing. He makes the judges of the earth as vanity.
So he's in control. So all the people complaining about Trump, at the end of the day, y'all allow him to come in. And just like Pharaoh, y'all will use him to show his might.
Verse 24. Yea, they shall not be planted. Yea, they shall not be sown. Yea, their stock shall not take root in the earth. And he shall also blow upon them, and they shall wither, and the whirlwind shall take them away as stubble. To whom then will you liken me, or shall I be equal, says the Holy One? Lift up your eyes on high, and behold who has created these things, that brings out of their host by number. He calls them all by names by the greatness. He calls them all by names by the greatness of his might, for that he is strong in power, not one fails. Why sayest you, O Jacob, and speakest, O Yasharal, my way is hid from the Most High, and my judgment is passed over from my Elohim.
And you don't have to say it. You can act that way by just doing whatever you want. Like y'all don't see what you doing by lying and hiding and cheating and doing all those things. You think y'all not seeing that? Because the person you hiding it from don't see it. Y'all see all these things, but you continuing it because you haven't been chastened or you're not accepting the chastening. Verse 28.
Even when David committed adultery with Bathsheba, he didn't, to our knowledge, he didn't say, "Hey, I'm gonna, I hate Yah. I'm gonna not gonna follow Yah's commandments." No,
Right.
he just did the act, and Yah told him later, why, or asked him later, "Why have you despised my commandments?" Because by the very act of engaging in that, he showed that okay, he's not regarding his commandments. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cause the enemies of Yah to blaspheme his name through you. Because remember his footstool, we the feet, we the footstool. We here on earth. He walking through us. But now they laughing Yah's a joke. It's really about the God of the biscuits. It's really about the God of iron. It's really about the God of the air, right? That's what they say because your God a joke. Your Elohim is look, he chose these people. Look how they act. Why should I fear him?
Verse 28. Have you not known? Have you not heard that the everlasting Elohim, Yahweh, the creator of the ends of the earth, faints not, neither is weary? There is no searching of his understanding. He gives power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increases strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon Yahweh shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint.
Amen. So those that wait upon Yah shall renew their strength. And that strength is in everything. It's not just in your physical strength, it's also your mental strength. Strengthen your relationships. A lot of us, man, we get burnt out. We start to fade away a little bit so people completely fall out the world. But if you fall out the word, but if you wait on Yah, he gonna renew your strength. So that's important for you husbands, heads of households, kings, to learn to wait on Yah so your strength can be renewed. This system can beat you down. Your own sins and transgressions can beat you down. But when you wait on Yah, which means I'm going to wait until I see the lawful and righteous way to deal with a situation, and then I'm going to move on it. That's how you wait on Yah. And what's very important, again, you head of households, your marriages. You might be weak. Your marriage might be weak, but you're going to have to wait on Yah to show you the right thing to do. Then all of a sudden, he renews your strength. And you and your spouse are able to arise to the occasion and do the right thing. You have to trust him in all matters. It don't just become worldly because it's Babylon got a signature on it. All these things, especially the things that pertain to covenant and life, Yah is the head of that. Let's move on. Let's continue with the other side. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 50. And let's look at this judgment that's coming this way. This has nothing to do with us. We had our judgment. But if somebody else is getting arrested and about to go to jail and you interfere, you think you're not going to jail because you weren't the person that committed a crime? You put your hand in a judgment. Yah said you can't even laugh at them when they having their judgment. At least he turned it around on you. We can't be like them. They laughed at us when we had judgment. We can't be like them. Jeremiah chapter 50. We're going to start this at verse 1.
The word that Yahweh spake against Babylon and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. Declare you among the nations, and publish and set up a standard. Publish and conceal not. Say Babylon is taken, Baal is confounded, Merodach is broken in pieces, her idols are confounded, her images are broken in pieces. For out of the north there comes up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. In those days and in that time, says Yahweh, the children of Yasharal shall come, they and the children of Yahweh together, going and weeping. They shall go and seek Yahweh their Elohim.
All right, so we are going to return. So while the nations, and specifically the daughter of Babylon, gets judgment, the children of Yasharal are returning home because now we know, okay, this is true. Because we've seen it, because we've been crying out on all these corners. We've been crying out on the internet. We've been crying at the family get-togethers and at work. And every chance we get, the world will now see this. Verse 5.
They shall ask the way to Zion with their faces thitherward, saying, Come, and let us join ourselves to Yahweh in a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten. My people has been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from the mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place.
So all of our pastors, our priests, our teachers, our leaders, our elders, they led us astray. They led us astray to the point where we under every mountain, under every government, every demonation or denomination, every religion, looking for leadership. Tom Sheep.
Verse 7. All that found them have devoured them, and their adversaries said, We offend not, because they have sinned against Yahweh, the habitation of justice, even Yahweh, the hope of their fathers.
So where did we find hope? What organization took care of us? Didn't use and abuse us? Where? What nation? What place? That's why, all that getting excited to go back to Africa, Ghana specifically. Do I really want to go back to the same place that had a door of no return, of no hope, that sent us out? If I have to. But I'm not jumping for joy. None of these places treated us proper. We had to treat ourselves proper by returning to the commandments and rising to power in those places.
Verse 8. Remove out of the midst of Babylon, and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans, and be as the he-goats before the flocks.
Well, remove this confusion. Yes, Yah said he gonna physically get us out of this confusion, but start internally in this land. Stop living by their ways and assimilate to Yah's ways. And then, whatever intersects, you fine with.
Verse 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain.
All right, so we're seeing a lot of, when we talked about the stages of war, one of the first stages of war is the campaigning, making sides and alliances and setting public policy. So we're seeing that with the government now with these tariffs where they're charging 145% tax to China. That ain't smart. China and Russia, best friends. They literally next door neighbors. They're basically the same people. And then now we just made a deal with Ukraine. We putting all this money in Ukraine. Now we made a energy deal with them. That's not smart. So it's not far-fetched to see these nations start to come together from the north and get ready to return vengeance onto America.
Verse 10. And Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, says Yahweh. Because you were glad, because you rejoiced, O you destroyers of my heritage, because you are grown fat as the heifer at grass, and bellow as bulls. Your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert.
So your mother, so you got Babylon and the daughter of Babylon. So you got Babylon, ecclesiastical Babylon, which is Rome. And who came out of Rome? America, the daughter of Babylon. Dry land, uninhabited, desert. Look what's happening in America right now. We getting burnt in one place, another place. We getting flooded completely out of, land is being removed. Volcanic activity. It's all over the world, but especially in America. Verse 13.
Because of the wrath of Yahweh, it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Everyone that goes by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at all her plagues. Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. All you that bend the bow, shoot at her. Spare no arrows, for she has sinned against Yahweh.
So all these nations really do not like America. Let's just get some context. Brother Cassette, when people find out that you're American, just despite the fact that you're a so-called Black American, what is their thoughts or sentiments towards Americans in the Netherlands?
Well, to be honest, you have two extremes. My personal experience is that, and it's very strange because I don't understand how Dutch people reconcile this, but my personal experience is that whenever I tell people from America, they're shocked and think like, oh, why would you come here? You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, a lot of these same people also have a disdain towards foreigners and don't really want outsiders, coming over because they feel like, I guess, Dutch culture is dying and Dutch culture is being taken over. But to be honest, here specifically in the Netherlands, there's more of a people are more against Arabs here than black people, but there is a lot of disdain for black people in general here as well. But
Right.
yeah, but in general, people don't seem to like Trump.
Mm.
But on a personal level, and they don't like Trump because the things he's doing is negatively affecting the economy over here, and prices are rising. There's been inflation and all that.
Right.
So yeah, but as far as like on an individual level, I think people are kind of they kind of look up to America in a way. It's a weird thing.
Right. It's definitely a weird dynamic, and it's different everywhere you go. All right, Tom Sheep.
Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 15. Shout against her round about. She has given her hand, her foundations are fallen, her walls are thrown down. For it is the vengeance of Yahweh. Take vengeance upon her as she has done, do so unto her.
As she has done. So what has she done? Raped, pillaged, stolen, bullied, even to this day. You talking about trying to take away the Panama Canal? Yeah, you say Trump, Trump, Trump this, but Trump represent America. So it's America doing this. And where do you live? Most of us here in America. So it's America doing this. Okay. Do unto her as she has done to others. She has literally gone into every place and burnt it down. They trying to do it now in Burko Facina. Same situation. They trying to get the gold from there. Talking about they paid his right-hand man, tried to pay him $5 million. I think it was the French or one of them European countries, just so he can kill this man because they can't rape it freely.
It's funny that it refers to her, the nation, to her as a her here, because it really kind of brought up this verse in Proverbs that says, in Proverbs 30 and 20, it says, such is the way of an adulterous woman. She eats and wipes her mouth and says, I have done no wickedness. And it's interesting because if you look at that from a spiritual perspective, as it pertains to nations, that's exactly the sentiment and the attitude that these nations have with the things they've done. They say, okay, well, even though we've done all this stuff, they don't even acknowledge their own evil that they've done towards us and others. And that still persists today. So it's just something that came to my mind.
Right, right. Absolutely. They don't want to acknowledge nothing. They'll cut a check though. They'll cut a check to everybody else. But then when it comes to us, it didn't happen, to the point where who you think is behind that doctrine of we ain't never been slaves and we from America. Who you think behind that? You think Israelites came up with that? Does that make sense? The whole book is about our captivities, and that's what identifies us. But you gonna make us non-captives? So the goal is to make the children of Israel not Israel, and to make the people that are oppressors not responsible for oppressing us. But yet we so prideful, we'll hold on to them weird doctrines just to feel like we ain't captives. But you turn on the TV and see we captive. Verse 16.
Verse 16. Cut off the sower from Babylon and him that handles the sickle in the time of harvest.
All
For
right.
fear
So you should understand, a little tidbit here, cut off the sower from Babylon and him that handles the sickle. The sickle is that thing that the Grim Reaper got in his hand, that little U-shaped thing to harvest, right? Well, sickle in Italian literally is Fauci. Let that sink in. Fauci's literal name means sickle in Italian. So all these symbolisms, Yah uses all these proverbs and symbolism. Cut off him that handles this sickle in a time of harvest when they harvesting the people with their 19, which we still have not seen the final effects of. All that judgment is coming. It's being documented. So even the White House put this information out. You can go on whitehouse.gov and read this stuff. The same stuff they're going to ban me for. It's right there. You think there ain't going to be no judgment for that? A lot of those were children of Israel that this was done to. Look at Hank Aaron and all these people just died. Verse 17.
Israel is a scattered sheep. The lions have driven him away. First, the king of Assyria has devoured him, and last, this Nebuchadrezzar, king of Babylon, has broken his bones.
All right, so keep that in mind. The lions have driven them away. So when they talk about lions scripturally, Assyria and Babylon both have been considered as lions. So that you'd have to tie that to Revelation. And it's talking about them beasts in the end. All right, Tamshi.
Verse 18. Therefore, thus says Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharal, behold, I will punish the king of Babylon in his land, as I have punished the king of Assyria. And I will bring Yasharal again to his habitation, and he shall feed on Carmel and Bashan, and his soul shall be satisfied upon Mount Ephraim and Gilead. In those days and in that time, says Yahweh, the iniquity of Yasharal shall be sought for, and there shall be none, and the sins of Jehoiada, and they shall not be found. For I will pardon them whom I reserve.
All right, so verse 18, it says, I'm going to punish Babylon like he's punished the king of Syria. So you want to know what Syria, the punishment of Syria, what is it looking like right now over there, Syria? Google it. What happened to their king? Where he at? What's his name? Hassan or whatever. What was the dude name for Syria? What happened to him? This stuff is happening in real time. You getting a preview of what's about to happen because Syria, the next place we going to war. Remember, I said it. Syria, that's going to be the next place of war. So we getting a preview of all this stuff that's going on.
Verse 21. Go up against the land of Merathaim, even against it, and against the inhabitants of Pekod, waste and utterly destroy after them, says Yahweh, and do according to all that I have commanded you. A sound of battle is in the land, and of great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations?
And who's the hammer of the whole earth? Who going around the whole earth talking about, well, we heard of Berko Vicina's doing a violation of human rights and all that's foolish, trying to be the enforcer of everything. You got some nerve. Talk about how other people treating other people in other countries when you are straight oppressing your people. And we're not even just talking about the black people. You oppressing your whole people. We just getting it the worst. Hypocrisy.
Verse 24, I've laid a snare for you, and you are also taken, O Babylon, and you were not aware. You are found and also caught, because you have striven against Yahweh. Yahweh has opened his armory and has brought forth the weapons of his indignation, for this is the work of Yahweh of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans.
Wow. So he opened up his armory. What's his armory? What's the weapons of his indignation? Yah's judgment. You about to see, he gonna detail it in a minute.
Verse 26, come against her from the utmost border, open her storehouses, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly, let nothing of her be left. Slay all her bullocks, let them go down to the slaughter, woe unto them, for their day is come, the time of their visitation. The voice of them that flee and escape out of the land of Babylon, to declare in Zion the vengeance of Yahweh our Elohim, the vengeance of his temple. Call together the archers against Babylon, all you that bend the bow, camp against it round about. Let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she has done, do unto her. For she has been proud against Yahweh, against the Holy One of Yasharal. Therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and all her men of war shall be cut off in that day, says Yahweh. Behold, I am against you, O you most proud, says Yahweh of hosts, for your day is come, the time that I will visit you.
All right, so that verse 30 is very concerning. It talks about, therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and all her men of war shall be cut off in that day. And that's why, a lot of us Israelites, we got family members in the military, and we are so scared, not scared, but so concerned for them because they representing this wicked system. So pray for your brothers and sisters, especially those in the truth that are in the military, because we don't want it to go down while they are there. Where our people, we don't want that. But unfortunately, because of this oppression, that is the only way for many of us to even prosper. So it's a catch-22 right there.
Verse 32, and the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up. And I will kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all round about him.
And that's, I haven't heard that term in a while, the most proud. So you got the most high and the most proud. The most proud want to be equal unto the most high.
Verse 33, thus says Yahweh of hosts, the children of Yasharal and the children of Yahweh were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Their Redeemer is strong. Yahweh of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. A sword is upon the Chaldeans, says Yah, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. A sword is upon the liars, and they shall dote. A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be dismayed. A sword is upon their horses, and upon their chariots, and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her, and they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed.
They shall become as women. These so-called strong men in the time of judgment. Y'all, just how else do you think he got Israelites packed up on these ships with just a few captains? He had to put a spirit of fear on us. Well, y'all gonna release that spirit of fear. That's one of his weapons on those people. That's why you want to look at who this is coming on. You know, the horsemen, the chariots, the liars, the people that are paid to misinform us. So these celebrities, all these people that are, are so-called mighty men that are using their influence to mislead us. Judgment is coming. So you want to be careful where you align with and who you align with.
Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 38. A drought is upon her waters, and they shall be dried up. For it is the land of graven images, and they are mad upon their idols. Therefore the wild beasts of the desert with the wild beasts of the islands shall dwell there, and the owl shall dwell therein, and it shall be no more inhabited forever, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation.
All right, so you know that this is prophecy because it ain't happened yet. And we know it's not talking about physical Babylon, which is Iraq, because people still live there. So this hasn't happened yet.
Verse 40. As Elohim overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, says Jah, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. Behold, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. They shall hold the bow in the lands. They are cruel and would not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, every one put in array like a man to the battle against you, O daughter of Babylon. The king of Babylon has heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs as a woman in travail. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan unto the habitation of the strong. But I will make them suddenly run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me, and who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before me?
All right, so talking about he shall come up like a lion. Remember who he compared to lions earlier. So these are showing you where this attack is coming from. This is coming out the Middle East. Verse 45.
Therefore hear you the counsel of Yahweh, that he is taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he has purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved, and the cry is heard among the nations.
All right, praise Yah. So that is the judgment of Babylon. So again, we get warning before all these things happen. Let's go to Matthew chapter 16. I want to read a few verses, and then we got two more scripts for the conclusion. Matthew chapter 16, Mattathiah. And we just want to read 1 through 4.
All right, Matthew.
Salakia, brother. Y'all not going to just enact all these things without giving us heads up, without giving us warning, without letting these things happen directly in order that he said it's going to happen. So we got to be prepared to identify these things so that we can witness in the earth. We supposed to witness these things. We supposed to warn. Verse 1.
All right. The Pharisees also with the Sadducees came, and tempting desired him that he would show them a sign from heaven. He answered and said unto them, when it is evening, you say it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. O you hypocrites, you can discern the face of the sky, but you cannot discern the sign of the times.
So we can get on and we can look at the markets. We can say it's time to sell my stock. We can go outside, see it's about to rain. Let me go ahead and close up my sunroof. I want to get my leather wet. We know how to read the writing on the wall for everything else, except for the time of I better repent now because judgment is coming. We can't see that. We don't speak that language. All right. Verse 4.
A wicked and adulterous generation seeks after a sign, and there shall no sign be given unto it, but the sign of the prophet Jonah. And he left them and departed.
All right. So who can tell me what the sign of Jonas was? Any of the viewers, can you tell me what the sign of Jonas was? Jonah, the prophet. So we're going to Acts chapter 2 while we wait for an answer on that. Did anybody tell me what the sign of Jonah was? And the clue, we just got it. Acts chapter 2, we're going to read 14 through 21, and then we have one more for the conclusion. Can anybody tell me what the sign of Jonas was? What happened with Jonas? Jonah. What was the sign? Now you got one that was given in the Bible, then you have another one that's historic. You said commit. I'm not sure what that means, brother. What do you mean by that? The sign of Jonas. Can anybody tell me what was the sign? What happened? A sign is an oath. All right, in Hebrew, oath. Something that you have to see. So remember, Jonas went to Nineveh. He told folks, repent. And they just repented all of a sudden. The people of Nineveh, which is Babylon, just repented. Why did they repent? Because a Hebrew came and told them that? Nah, they was killing Hebrews. That's why he didn't want to go over there. They was torturing us over there in Nineveh. That's why he was mad when they repented. What could possibly cause these wicked people to repent? All right, so we'll keep the class going since nobody knows. It was the blood red moon. It was the they got an eclipse and a blood red moon. They recorded an eclipse in the sky. Absolutely. They recorded it in Assyrian history books that there was literally a solar eclipse. So the signs in the skies, Yah gave these signs for us to see. All right, so Acts chapter 2 and verse 14.
All right, Acts chapter 2 and verse 14. But Peter, or Kepha, standing up with the 11, lifted up his voice and said unto them, You men of Judea, and all you that dwell at Jerusalem, be this known unto you, and hearken to my words. For these are not drunken, as you suppose, seeing it is but the third hour of the day.
All right, so to give some context here, this is talking about the first Pentecost that we kept, where the Holy Spirit came down and you had the Yahudim speaking to, all the people of all different nations that was coming to, keep this holy day. They can all understand the Galilean tongue. So they're like, wow, this is a miracle. So that was Pentecost. And speaking of that, that's what's coming up very next few weeks. We got the second appearance of the year, Shabbat, Pentecost is coming. So check the calendar, make sure you guard that day because that's another holy day that we'll have to take off.
Acts chapter 2 and verse 16. But this is that which was spoken by the prophet Joel. And it shall come to pass in the last days, says Elohim, I will pour out of my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. And on my servants and on my handmaidens I will pour out in those days of my spirit, and they shall prophesy.
All right. So Yah is pouring out his spirit. We want to key in that word, the last days. So we know that the last days was back then. So we in the very, very last days. So we want to pay attention. It's like if you know it's the end of summer, you paying attention because you know winter is coming. So let me start preparing for the winter time. So we're in the last days. Let me prepare for his return. Let me prepare for the judgment that's coming this way. So Yah said, I'm going to start pouring out my spirit amongst all his servants and his young men and his handmaids, all the people that serve Yah and his family. He's pouring out the spirit. So them, the people you need to start listening to. Instead of listening to these Europeans constantly trying to tell you this or tell you that and give you all this fake knowledge, pay attention to the information that's being given to you by your people. We always discredit our people because we got to have a Gentile tell it to us. Yah's pouring out his spirit. We are learning things. Things are being open to us, understandings to people that, should be learning from people. Verse 19.
And I will show wonders in heaven above, and signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire and vapor of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before that great and notable day of Yahweh come.
I mean, how many more signs do we need? We literally just had a pink moon. We had a blood moon, a pink moon, a triple conjunction where you got the sky smiling at us. We had all the planets line up in the sky. We're at the peak solar activity. We just had a whole nation shut down by solar activity, which we ain't ever seen that in our time. We're having all these signs in the sky. Now we about to have a meteor shower tomorrow, supposedly from Halley's Comet. Halley's Comet supposed to be like I'm supposed to be like 80 years old when it comes. It's ridiculous. How many more signs do you need to discern we are in the end? You might need to start repenting. You might need to start working on your sin. But no, we don't want to hear that. We want to hear the tea. We want to hear who got drafted. We want to get into everything else other than the things that is going to have us step into our royal priesthood, kings and queens. But when it comes, we want to claim it though, right? Verse 21.
And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of Yahweh shall be saved.
Who shall call on the character of the Adonai? Who gonna call on his righteousness to save them? What would Yah do? What would Yahweh Shai do? WWYD, right? What would he do? Let me do that. Them the people that's gonna be saved. Not just because your last name Ben Israel or whatever. Nah, it don't work that way. It didn't save us then. It ain't gonna save us now.
Verse 22.
All right, yeah, we was read through 21. Praise Yah. All right, so let's go to the conclusion. We're going to go into the Apocrypha. So if you do not have access to the 1611 King James or the Apocrypha, you can either go to our app, Israelites Gathering, or you can go on our website and you can get free access or even download the Apocrypha. So we're going to Second Ezra, and this is literally the same prophet Ezra. So Second Ezra would be third Ezra, literally. Ezra chapter 1, then Second Ezra. will be the first Esdras, and third Ezra will be second Esdras. So we're in second Esdras, chapter 15. So they removed these books for a reason. They don't want us knowing this history. They don't want us to know what's coming. They want to keep lying. They want to keep feeding us NASA and that they done sent these reality stars into space. They want us to believe that foolishness instead of what's coming. Because if we believe what's coming, then we're going to naturally step into who we are. We're going to stop doing the things that are holding us back, which is going to propel us forward. Why would they want us to do that when they can just continue fleecing the flock? Second Esdras chapter 15 and verse 1 for the conclusion.
Behold, speak you in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in your mouth, says Yahweh, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true.
So if this is supposed to be written in paper, why did they remove this out the Bible? He's telling you, write it in paper. Why are they removing this? Keep reading.
Fear not the imaginations against you. Let not the incredulity of them trouble you that speak against you. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness.
So have faith. That's why we're trying to warn people, because you remain unfaithful, you're going to die in that unfaithfulness. We don't want you to die. I don't want to die. So, it says love your neighbor like yourself. So if you don't want to die, wouldn't you want your neighbor not to fall in that ditch?
Verse 5. Behold, says Yahweh, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction.
So that's what's coming our way. So why would I be sitting here preaching that, hey, it's going to be a lovely day outside? There's a hurricane warning outside. Literally. Hurricane is on its way, and I'm talking about how beautiful it's going to be outside. Who do I work for? You obviously don't work for the truth.
For wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Therefore, says Yahweh, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood cries unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually.
All right, so pretty much most of our neighborhoods work this way. You had somebody who's kind of people don't really know, and people keep messing with him until he can't take it, and he mess around and put some hands on somebody or puts hands on a couple of people and hurt some people. Then his reputation go out, and nobody want to mess with him for a while. But then after a certain amount of time, people forget. They forget how you are, because you've been holding your tongue, been, not showing them your power, your might. Then they got to be reminded again. So they forgot the king of the earth, God, the king of the universe. He not going to sit by and let the children of Israel keep being treated the way we're being treated. The earth being destroyed the way it's going to be, that's being destroyed, like nothing is going to happen, because they have forgotten. They have forgotten the Yah of the children of Israel. He about to remind them. So we on the side of reminding them. We ain't supposed to be on the side of getting reminded. Choose a side.
Verse 9. And therefore, says Yahweh, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt.
Remember, we just read in Deuteronomy, I will send you into Egypt again by ships. Well, y'all not going to suffer us to dwell here. Why? Why he not going to suffer us to dwell here? Can anybody tell me why he not going to let us stay in America? Why can't we stay in America? We just read it, Jeremiah chapter 50. It's going to be destroyed. It's saying another place that everybody's going back to the land of their nativity, because this ain't the place of your nativity. That's why that doctrine of America is Utah is Jerusalem and all, Dangerous. This place going to be destroyed like it was destroyed before. This ain't the first time it was destroyed. Look at the Grand Canyon. Verse 11.
But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues, as before, and will destroy all the land thereof.
That's what's coming. He just told you famine and destruction, and now he's giving you more specifics. The plague of Egypt. He's bringing that back. That was 10 plagues. And remember that last plague, the death of the firstborns. It's coming back.
Verse 12. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that Elohim shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful constellation.
All that famine is coming this way. Judgment. Famine. Famine is what rolls Egypt to power in the first place. Because Egypt had Yosef of the children of Yasharal, which saved them through the famine. And that's what turned Pharaoh the strongest in the world. When the people ran out of food, they had to sell their goods. When they ran out of goods, they had to sell their animals. When they ran out of animals, they had to sell their children. And when they ran out of children to sell, they had to sell themselves. And now Pharaoh is the God of the earth. This all came through famine. That same famine gonna rise the children of Israel to the top, because he said, my children go eat. Who your parent?
Verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword in their destruction draws near, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands.
In Yahweh Shai tell us that, Matthew 24, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom.
Verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able.
And they tested that already. You remember when 19 came back in 20? We couldn't even leave in Atlanta. You couldn't leave Atlanta. You couldn't come in Atlanta. It was all shut down. You can't even go into one county to the next. This is the warning. If you can't leave, how are you going to survive? Start preparing spiritually and physically. Verse 18.
For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid.
Because of their pride, they don't want to purchase from their own brothers and sisters. Because of their pride, they don't want to buy American because it costs too much. I can make twice as much buying from China. So you're going to let everybody starve because you can't make twice as much profit? All of this is bringing the downfall of this country. If you look at how Rome fell, it fell from within. Then it was attacked.
Verse 20. Verse 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation.
The great tribulation, Jacob's trouble. Same thing we got in Daniel. Daniel chapter 12, telling you about what is coming our way. It's because of the lack of bread. Your neighbor that you talk to every day, hey, how you doing, neighbor? Oh, great. I'm barbecuing to come through on Sunday. All right, excellent. But when his belly starts to ache, he don't serve the same God as you. He might be coming to knock down your door. When his child, his newborn, crying out for milk, he might be trying to bust in your house. And this, for otherwise, is a good man. He doing what the flesh gonna do, what any animal is gonna do. But you are supposed to be a different creature. You're not gonna pass that test, and you can't expect y'all to protect you if you're not gonna adhere to what he's asking. This is all part of your preparation.
Verse 20. Behold, says Elohim, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, and from the east, and Libanus, to turn themselves one against another, and repay the things that they have done to them. Like as they do yet this day unto my chosen, so will I do also, and recompense in their bosom. Thus says Yahweh Elohim.
Like as they do unto this day to my chosen. Gun thrown in your face was what. Well, I can tell you that's not the first time you had a gun thrown in your face, because I was with you the other time. But at the end of the day, this is not right what they doing to us. They came up to us with guns while we sitting here holding the Bible reading. That's not right. Verse 22.
My right hand shall not spare the sinners, and my sword shall not cease over them that shed innocent blood upon the earth. The fire is gone forth from his wrath, and has consumed the foundations of the earth, and the sinners like the straw that is kindled.
That's what they call the tinder, which you use to start a fire. The sinners. Just like that movie, The Sinners, he ran in there all, let me not spoiler alert again. Sorry. Just like that movie, The Sinners. That's exactly how it works. Yah's coming for sinners. That's the fire. So we all sinners. So what do we need to be working on? Being less flammable in this time. Less sinful. You ain't going to get it all. You got to do your best. A man died for you to be flame retardant for you. But at the end of the day, you can't be pouring more and more accelerants on yourself when it's flickering fire everywhere.
Verse 24. Woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments, says Yahweh. I will not spare them. Go your way, you children, from the power. Defile not my sanctuary.
He's not going to spare them. He don't care if it's your mom, your dad, your uncle, your best friend, your wife. He's not going to spare them. You're defiling his sanctuary. If you the children of Israel, you the sanctuary. And if you are defiling the children of Israel, you defiling y'all's sanctuary. Woe to them that transgress and do not keep Yah's commandments.
Verse 26. For Yahweh knows all them that sin against him, and therefore delivers he them unto death and destruction. For now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and you shall remain in them. For Elohim shall not deliver you, because you have sinned against him.
He keeps telling you, you transgress against him, he's not going to save you. You can't save yourself. This is supernatural. This ain't some regular event that's coming. Our only way out of this is repentance. It ain't going to be standing on righteousness that, hey, I've been a righteous fella. You ain't going to make it on that. You have to be in a state of repentance. It says every day his mercies renew. Every morning. You better take advantage of that while there's another morning.
Verse 28. Behold, a horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. And the Carmanians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come, and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians.
All right, so it's talking about Arabia. That's literally Iraq, and then the Carmanians, that's the Persians and Assyrians. So it's talking about a specific area that's about to come up against us. So you know where the threat is coming from. But this war, it looks like this war from everywhere, right? Don't be confused. He's showing us the directions we need to look. That's how a magician operates, misdirection.
And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature, and if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them, then these shall be troubled, bled, and keep silence through their power, and shall flee.
Again, then shall the dragons. Now, when they use dragon, we know that represents the adversary, the devil. But what nation uses the dragon as a symbol? Could it be the nation we got 145% tariff on? Pay attention where these threats are coming from. The East and the so-called Middle East. So you got the Far East and the Middle East. And coming from north. Tom Sheep.
And from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them and consume some of them, and in their host shall be fear and dread and strife among their kings.
In the land of the Assyrians. What are we doing in the land of Assyria to begin with? Again, where are these wars coming in? I tell y'all, Syria going to be the next place of war. Why are they besieging us in Assyria, in the land of Assyria? Verse 34, or Babylon, Iraq, Iran, Persia, all the little area. What are we doing over there?
Behold, clouds from the east and from the north unto the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm.
Witnesses. Clouds represent witnesses. Witnesses from the east, the north, the south. They are very horrible to look at, full of wrath and storm. Everybody got beef with us. It just takes the first person to throw the punch. And once we stumble, all of them coming in, ready to throw in a kick.
They shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth, even their own star, and blood shall be from the sword unto the belly.
All right, so stars represent these so-called illuminated ones that serve the adversary, the devil, that they have given us, that they like to put on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, right? All them stars falling right now. It's about to get even worse because they're getting exposed. But them stars, so-called stars, were also worshiping these angels, which are also considered the stars. So them angels is coming down, and they have to be turned into blood vessels so that they can be judged.
Verse 36, and dung of men unto camels' hoof, and there shall be great fearfulness and trembling upon the earth, and they that see the wrath shall be afraid, and trembling shall come upon them.
All right, so we ain't trembling like that yet because it ain't completely falling apart. But remember how folks was in 2020, all that fear and trembling where you wouldn't even keep a Passover because you were afraid. That's just the beginning. That was just a test.
And then there shall come great storms from the south and from the north, and another part from the west.
They literally just yesterday, they on tsunami alert. I don't even know if it hit yet in Chile. They got a whole tsunami coming that way. Verse 39.
And strong winds shall arise from the east, and shall open it, and the cloud which ye raised up in wrath, and the star stirred to cause fear toward the east, and west wind shall be destroyed. The great and mighty cloud shall be puffed up full of wrath, and the star, that they may make all the earth afraid, and them that dwell therein. And they shall pour out over every high and eminent place a horrible star, fire and hail and flying swords, and many waters, that all fields may be full, and all rivers with the abundance of great waters. And they shall break down the cities and the walls, mountains and hills, trees of the wood, and grass of the meadows, and their corn. And they shall go steadfastly unto Babylon, and make her afraid. They shall come to her and besiege her, the star and all wrath shall they pour out upon her. Then shall the dust and smoke go up unto heaven, and all they that be about her shall bewail her.
They keep talking about this star that's about to put wrath on us. That's a pretty heavy and evil angel that's about to come do his business.
Verse 45. And they that remain under her shall do service unto them that have put her in fear.
So they're going to be subjected to this evil spirit if they still alive.
And you, Asia, that are partaker of the hope of Babylon, and are the glory of her person, woe be unto you, you wretch, because you have made yourself like unto her, and have decked your daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in your lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with you.
All right, so China, right, and all his China's daughters, Japan, Vietnam, Korea, North Korea, all these are the daughters of China because they all came out of China. They have become westernized, and they're part of that same corruption and part of them same deals.
Verse 48. You have followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. Therefore says Elohim, I will send plagues upon you.
All those countries followed the U.S. They tried hard to keep the westernization out, but they ultimately bowed down to the almighty dollar.
I will send plagues upon you, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste your houses with destruction and death. And the glory of your power shall be dried up as a flower. The heat shall arise that is sent over you. You shall be weakened as a poor woman with stripes, and as one chastised with wounds, so that the mighty and lovers shall not be able to receive you. Would I with jealousy have so proceeded against you, says Yahweh, if you had not always slain my chosen, exalting the stroke of your hands, and saying over their dead when you were drunken, set forth the beauty of your countenance. The reward of your whoredom shall be in your bosom, therefore shall you receive recompense.
They enjoyed it. They took advantage. They took advantage of the fact that Yah was punishing us. So now it's their time. It's not our time. We don't have to suffer like that. Yeah, it's our trouble because they want to kill us off to stop their judgment from happening. But they can't. If they could, we'd already been gone. So we have to understand what side we're on, what is ahead of us, and operate in the side that is beneficial to us, that's for us. Because they're not going to teach us that. They're going to teach us to fear.
Verse 56. Like as you have done unto my chosen, says Yahweh, even so shall Elohim do unto you, and shall deliver you into mischief. Your children shall die of hunger, and you shall fall through the sword. Your city shall be broken down, and all yours shall perish with the sword in the field.
Again, their children are going to die of hunger. Yah said his children going to eat. So again, these are things to be concerned with, but not things for us to be afraid of, to fear, because Yah already gave us the solution. We are the witnesses. We have to show the other side of that proverb. We have to be prepared, and you're not going to do that if you ain't trying to walk in the character of Yah. If you're not trying to assimilate to his ways, you're not going to have the confidence to not go ahead and bend over and fear like a pregnant woman. That's what it says that the men are going to be doing. We're going to be too afraid. But when you're prepared for this, because you've already been working on this, then you know it's your time to shine. It's game time. You're ready for the miracles to happen for you. It's going to happen.
Verse 58. They that be in the mountains shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh, and drink their own blood, for very hunger of bread and thirst of water.
We would never do that because that's against the commandments. So we'll find another way.
You as unhappy shall come through the sea and receive plagues again. And in the passage they shall rush on the idol city and shall destroy some portion of your land and consume part of your glory and shall return to Babylon that was destroyed and shall be cast down by them as stubble, and they shall be unto you as fire and shall consume you and your cities, your land and your mountains, all your woods and your fruitful trees shall they burn up with fire. Your children shall they carry away captive, and look, what you have, they shall spoil it, and mar the beauty of your face.
All right. So there we have it, the proving ground, the kingdom proving ground. These things are happening to us in our lives to prove us so that we can see who we are, to teach us, to chastise us, and teach us to move towards a place of repentance, all in the timeline. This could have happened 100 years ago, but it's happening to us now because of the time that we're in. So again, prepare for these hard times that are coming our way. We're seeing in the news, I don't understand why the news is not really highlighting how serious of a situation we are with this trade with China and with these goods coming in, to the point where, there's a reason why he's also shutting down shipments coming in, because we're getting ready to go to war. So when we're getting ready to go to war, you can't trust all these things coming in. So there's a lot more going on. Again, we can't control it. This is beyond us. So it behooves us to see prophetically where we need to be and what we need to do. But what we don't need to do is be fearful. We need to be faithful and just prepare spiritually and prepare in our homes for this time, because all of this is our proving ground to prove whether or not we are fit to live forever in our own land with the Most High and His Son Yahweh Shah. So that's all we're going to do today. Any last questions or comments before we close? Check the feed, see if we have any last questions. Don't see any comments there. All right, so again, we are Savior Word of Yah and Israelites Gathering. So if you have any questions or comments, you can always reach out to us on our website, IsraeliteGathering.com, or you can reach out to us on the app and message us directly. Yah's will, we will see you for Bible study on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Sometimes, we get a little overwhelmed. Weren't able to do it past week or so, but we'll definitely get back on schedule. So Yah's will, we'll see you then. Until then, Shabbat Shalom, and everybody enjoy the rest of their Sabbath.